In anime, power is often misunderstood. Many believe power means strength, speed, destruction. But true power goes much deeper than that. Rimuru Tempest did not choose power. Power was forced upon him. In his previous life, Rimuru was an ordinary man living in Japan. He had no special abilities, no destiny, no grand purpose. Then, without warning, his life ended. He was stabbed during a random attack and bled to death. As his consciousness faded, his final thoughts shaped his rebirth. And when he opened his eyes again, he was no longer human. He had been reincarnated into another world, as a slime. At first, this form seemed weak. Slimes were considered the lowest type of monster. They had no strength, no intelligence, no importance. But Rimuru was different. From the moment he was reborn, he possessed two unique abilities: Predator and Great Sage. Predator allowed Rimuru to absorb anything he touched: creatures, objects, magic. Once absorbed, the target ceased to exist. Great Sage allowed him to analyze what he absorbed. It explained the world to him, its rules, its systems, its weaknesses. Together, these abilities formed something dangerous. Rimuru could consume power and understand it perfectly. As Rimuru explored the world, he encountered stronger creatures. Instead of running from them, he absorbed them. Each encounter made him smarter, stronger, more complete. Unlike other beings, Rimuru did not train. He evolved. Every victory added new skills: resistance to magic, resistance to poison, resistance to physical damage. Eventually, Rimuru encountered the storm dragon, Veldora, a legendary being feared by the entire world. Instead of killing Veldora, Rimuru absorbed him, not to destroy him, but to save him. This single act changed everything. By absorbing Veldora, Rimuru gained access to dragon-level magic. His status skyrocketed. From a weak monster, he became a ruler. Monsters gathered around him. They followed him not out of fear, but trust. Rimuru created a nation, a place where monsters and humans could coexist. But peace did not last. As Rimuru's influence grew, so did opposition. Enemies began to target his people. And that is when Rimuru changed. When his nation was destroyed and his people were slaughtered, Rimuru crossed a line. He killed thousands, without hesitation, without mercy. And through this massacre, Rimuru evolved again. He became a true demon lord. This transformation pushed his power beyond normal limits. He gained control over souls, over resurrection, over reality itself. Rimuru could now revive the dead, rewrite outcomes, erase enemies completely. At this point, death no longer applied to him. If Rimuru was destroyed, his abilities would reconstruct him. His consciousness could not be erased easily. What makes Rimuru terrifying is not cruelty. He is calm, kind, even gentle. But his power continues to grow endlessly. Given enough time, Rimuru will always surpass his opponents. There is no ceiling, no final form. However, Rimuru still exists within a system. Skills have rules, abilities have conditions. Cause and effect still exist. This means that while Rimuru is godlike, there are beings who exist beyond systems entirely. And those beings come next.
We're gonna name you Anos Voldigoad.
Did he just talk?
Anos Voldigoad was never meant to be questioned. From the moment he exists, the world bends around him. In his universe, demons and gods wage endless wars. Power is everything. Strength decides who lives, and Anos stands above them all. He is known as the Demon King of Tyranny, a title earned not through reputation, but reality. Long before the story begins, Anos ruled the world through absolute dominance. He ended wars by force, crushed gods who opposed him, and brought balance through fear. But even Anos grew tired of conflict. After centuries of bloodshed, he made a choice. He would destroy himself and reincarnate in the future. His hope was simple, that the world would one day be peaceful.
2,000 years later.
Anos returned, reborn into a world that no longer remembered him, his history erased, his legacy stolen, and his name forgotten. But Anos did not care, because power does not fade with memory. From the very beginning, it was clear that Anos was different. As a child, he performed feats that should have been impossible. He cast spells without chanting, destroyed magic simply by touching it, and revived himself after being killed. To Anos, death is meaningless. If his body is destroyed, his source remains. And if his source remains, he can return. What makes Anos especially dangerous is his understanding of existence. He does not simply overpower enemies, he erases them at their origin. Every being has a source, the core of their existence, their beginning. Anos can destroy that source. Once erased, there is nothing left. No soul, no memory, no resurrection. Even time manipulation fails against him. If an enemy rewinds time, Anos remembers. If they attempt to change fate, Anos resists. Reality itself acknowledges him. Gods who control the laws of the universe cannot dominate him, because Anos does not follow laws. He decides which laws matter. Throughout his journey, Anos repeatedly proves that no opponent is beyond him. Sacred swords fail, divine magic collapses, fate-based abilities do nothing. Even beings created to kill him are powerless. And yet, Anos does not rule through cruelty. He is calm, direct, almost bored. Power to him is natural, like breathing. However, there is one limitation. Anos still exists in a universe where combat happens, where enemies appear, where actions still have reactions. He is overwhelmingly powerful, but he still plays the game. And above the game are beings who do not play at all. Truth is not a creature that hunts. It does not chase enemies. It does not seek domination. Truth simply exists, and that is what makes it terrifying. In the world of Fullmetal Alchemist, alchemy follows one absolute rule: equivalent exchange. To gain something of equal value must be lost. This rule governs all alchemists, all nations, all power. But behind this rule stands something greater: truth. Truth is the embodiment of the universe's law. It has no fixed form. When it appears, it often takes the shape of the person who stands before it, a reflection, a reminder. Truth exists beyond space, beyond time, beyond physical reality. When a human attempts forbidden alchemy, they are brought before truth, not as punishment, but as payment. Truth does not judge with emotion. It does not feel anger. It does not feel mercy. It enforces balance. Those who attempt to create life lose something precious: an arm, a leg, their sight, their entire body. Truth takes what is owed, and it always collects. What makes truth powerful is not strength. It cannot be attacked. It cannot be escaped. No weapon can harm it. No spell can affect it. Even the concept of fighting does not apply. When you stand before truth, the outcome is already decided. Truth knows everything about you: your knowledge, your desires, your sins, and your limits. Even beings who claim godhood are subject to truth. Father, the main antagonist of the series, sought to become a perfect being, a god. He absorbed millions of souls, controlled alchemy across an entire nation. Yet in the end, truth reminded him of something simple: you are not above the rules. Truth stripped Father of everything: his power, his knowledge, his existence, reduced to nothing. Because truth does not tolerate imbalance. However, truth is not absolute power. It does not rewrite reality. It does not change fate. It does not dominate existence. Truth maintains the system, and systems can be surpassed. There are beings who do not follow balance, who do not require payment, who do not obey law. And that is where power becomes something else entirely. Madoka Kaname was never meant to be powerful. She was kind, quiet, ordinary. A normal girl living a normal life. In her world, magical girls were created through contracts. They were promised miracles. In exchange, they were doomed to suffer. Each magical girl fought witches, and every witch was once a magical girl who had fallen into despair. It was a cruel cycle, one designed to harvest hope. Madoka watched her friends suffer. She watched them fight. She watched them die, again and again. Across countless timelines, because one person kept resetting time. Homura Akemi. Each reset showed Madoka the truth. No matter what choice was made, the outcome was the same. Hope turned into despair. Salvation always came at a cost. Until Madoka made a choice no one else could. She did not wish for strength. She did not wish for survival. She made a wish that erased herself. Madoka wished to remove witches from existence across every timeline, across every universe. In doing so, Madoka ceased to exist as a human. She became something else, a concept, a law. Ultimate Madoka exists everywhere at once. She is present in the past, the present, and the future. She rewrote the rules of reality itself. Magical girls no longer turned into witches. Their suffering was erased before it could happen. Madoka does not fight enemies. She does not appear on battlefields. She reaches into timelines and removes despair at its source. This makes her almost impossible to oppose. You cannot attack her. You cannot find her. She exists outside cause and effect. However, Madoka's power has one defining trait: compassion. She acts to save others. She does not dominate. She does not rule. Her power is infinite in scope, but restrained in purpose. Madoka cannot act selfishly. She cannot destroy existence. She exists to protect. And protection, no matter how powerful, is still a form of limitation. Beyond her are beings who act without empathy, without restraint, without reason.
There are no strings on me.
The anti-spiral is not a monster. It is not a god. It is not even a single being. The anti-spiral is the end result of evolution taken too far. Long ago, the anti-spiral were a living civilization. They evolved rapidly. Their intelligence grew. Their technologies surpassed imagination. But with that growth came fear. They saw the future of the universe. A future where unchecked evolution would lead to total collapse. Infinite growth, infinite energy, infinite destruction. The universe could not survive it. So the anti-spiral made a choice. They abandoned physical form. They erased their individuality and became a single, unified consciousness, a concept rather than a species. Their purpose was simple: prevent evolution, prevent growth, prevent the end of everything. To do this, they created systems of suppression. They limited civilizations, crushed those who grew too fast, and erased threats before they could mature. The anti-spiral's power is not based on strength, it is based on control. They manipulate probability. Events unfold exactly as they decide. They control time, trapping enemies in endless loops. They manipulate dimensions, creating infinite labyrinths of despair. Entire universes become weapons. Galaxies are thrown like projectiles. Reality bends under their influence. When the anti-spiral fights, it is not a battle. It is a test of will. Those who oppose them are shown visions of failure, infinite deaths, endless, hopeless futures. Most break long before physical combat begins. What makes the anti-spiral especially terrifying is scale. They do not fight individuals. They fight existence itself. However, their greatest strength is also their weakness: fear. Everything the anti-spiral does is driven by fear of the future, fear of possibility, fear of change. They believe control is necessary, that freedom will destroy everything. And in the end, that fear limits them. Because there are beings who do not fear destruction, who do not fear the end, who exist even beyond despair itself. The Lord of Nightmares is not a ruler. It does not govern reality. It is reality. In the world of slayers, all existence traces back to a single source, the Lord of Nightmares. Before gods, before demons, before time itself, the Lord of Nightmares existed. Creation did not begin because it was planned. It began because fragments of the Lord of Nightmares leaked into nothingness. Those fragments became universes, dimensions, life. Every god, every demon, every law of reality is only a piece of its being. The Lord of Nightmares does not have a body in any conventional sense. It does not walk. It does not speak. When it manifests, reality becomes unstable. Space collapses. Time loses meaning. Existence begins to unravel simply by being near it. What makes the Lord of Nightmares truly terrifying is its indifference. It does not hate creation. It does not love it. Creation is accidental. If the Lord of Nightmares were to fully awaken, everything would end instantly. Not through attack, not through destruction, but through erasure. Reality would return to nothing. Even gods fear it. Even beings that manipulate time and space avoid its presence. The Lord of Nightmares is not something that can be defeated. There is no battle, no strategy. The only reason existence continues is because the Lord of Nightmares remains dormant, and that dormancy is fragile. However, there are beings who do not merely threaten existence. They stand outside of it, they watch it, and they rewrite it. Featherine Augustus Aurora does not rule worlds. She does not destroy them. She writes them. In Umineko, reality itself is layered. What appears real to one being is fiction to another, and Featherine exists at the highest layer. To her, universes are stories. Timelines are drafts. Characters are pieces on a board. Featherine possesses near-complete omniscience. She knows pasts that never happened, futures that were erased, outcomes that were rewritten. If a universe collapses, it is not a tragedy. It is simply a poorly written ending. Featherine's power is not expressed through combat. She does not attack. She edits. If she loses a confrontation, she rewrites the narrative. If an enemy triumphs, she changes the conditions. Cause and effect do not bind her. Time does not restrain her. Even multiverses exist beneath her awareness. What makes Featherine especially dangerous is that resistance is meaningless. Fighting her is like arguing with the author of reality. No matter what choice is made, she has already accounted for it. However, Featherine is not truly limitless. Her power is tied to stories, narratives, observation. She exists because there is something to observe, something to write, something to read. And above stories are beings who do not require narratives at all, beings who do not observe reality, because reality exists within them. Kami Tenchi is not a god in the traditional sense. He does not rule from a throne. He does not issue commands. He simply exists. And that existence surpasses everything else. In Tenchi Muyo, reality is layered into dimensions. Lower dimensions cannot perceive higher ones. They can only experience fragments. Kami Tenchi exists beyond all dimensional structure. He is not inside space. Space exists inside him. Time does not affect him. Cause and effect do not apply. Even beings who control multiverses exist beneath his level of reality. Kami Tenchi is the true form of Tenchi Masaki, a form so far beyond comprehension that it cannot be interacted with directly. When Kami Tenchi manifests, it is not an event. It is a presence. All other beings become insignificant, not because they are weak, but because they are irrelevant. There is no battle involving Kami Tenchi, no struggle, no resistance. Nothing can oppose him because opposition requires shared existence, and Kami Tenchi exists on a level where opposition is impossible. Many consider Kami Tenchi to be true omnipotence, not limitless power within reality, but power beyond reality. He does not need to destroy universes. He does not need to rewrite laws. He simply allows things to exist, or not. However, there is one final being, a creature who, despite existing within reality, can erase it completely, instantly, without effort, and without explanation.
What's this?
There's nothing here, you see. That's very bad.
That guy up there did it!
I'll destroy it.
Run, Zeno!
Zeno does not look powerful. He is small, childlike, almost harmless, and that is what makes him terrifying. In Dragon Ball Super, gods of destruction exist to erase planets. Angels exist to guide gods. Supreme Kais exist to create life. But above all of them is Zeno. Zeno is the king of everything. Not because he rules wisely, not because he understands reality, but because reality cannot refuse him. Zeno has the ability to erase anything. Universes, timelines, entire histories with a single thought. No preparation, no energy buildup, no resistance. When Zeno decides something should not exist, it stops existing instantly. Even time itself is not safe. Zeno erased entire alternate timelines without hesitation. Everything that ever happened there, every life, every memory, gone. What makes Zeno unique is that his power has no visible mechanism. There is no spell, no technique, no explanation. Things simply disappear. Gods of destruction fear him. Angels obey him. Even beings who manipulate time and fate treat him with absolute caution. Because Zeno cannot be reasoned with. He does not debate. He does not weigh consequences. He does not feel regret. Zeno is not cruel. He is not kind. He is absolute authority without understanding. And that is what makes him dangerous. However, Zeno still exists within reality. He erases universes, but he does not exist beyond existence itself. Which brings us to the final question. What does true power actually mean? We have reached the end. We have seen power in many forms, growth without limits, absolute domination, unbreakable law, compassion that rewrites reality, fear that controls existence, origins that could end everything, stories that overwrite universes, existence beyond dimensions, and erasure without resistance. Each creature we explored represents a different idea of power. Rimuru Tempest showed us potential, power that grows endlessly. Anos Voldigoad showed us overwhelming superiority, strength so absolute that resistance is meaningless. Truth showed us law, power that cannot be challenged, only obeyed. Ultimate Madoka showed us sacrifice, power used not to rule, but to protect reality. The anti-spiral showed us control through fear, the belief that freedom itself is dangerous. The Lord of Nightmares showed us origin, the reminder that everything can return to nothing. Featherine showed us authorship, a being for whom reality is just a story. Tenchi showed us existence beyond existence, a presence reality cannot touch. And Zeno showed us absolute erasure, the power to end everything instantly. So who is the strongest? There is no single answer. Zeno is strongest in destruction, Featherine in control, Tenchi beyond comparison. True power depends on perspective, to destroy, to control, or to choose restraint. Anime gives no single answer, only many perspectives. And that is why debates never end, because the strongest being in anime depends on how you define power. Power in anime is not just battle, it is ideas, fear, hope, control, freedom, existence. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Share your own ranking, because somewhere out there, another story exists, with a being even stronger.